Hello everyone, I'm back with another video, and in today's video, based on the request, I have a Dell G7 7700 laptop. The regulatory model for this one is a p46E001, and that information can be found on the bottom. Pretty much this goes for any G700 G7 series laptop. In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to open it up and how you can do your service and repaste every few years, every year, year and a half, depending the usage, depending how much you use, how many hours a day you use it. If you use over 6 hours a day, I would recommend you guys to do it every 12 months, every year. You repaste and cleaning of the fan system to keep it running on really cooler and for longer period of the time, so it can last longer. And some people say like, oh, why don't you show me before temps and after temps? This is not a benchmark video. This is not a comparison between the thermal paste. And there's a lot of factors that come in hand. This is just simply a servicing, how to do your own servicing. It's like a changing car oil on your car. You don't ask the mechanic, oh, now how does my car run right after oil change? That's not a thing. And if you want to know your difference, check it before repasting and after repasting. Check the temperature decrease on yours, depending room temperature, depending your fan is clean or not clean, there's a clogged up or not clogged up. So yeah. So I'm gonna go over the tool that I use for this service. I'll be using an UFIXTEK screwdriver set. If you get the Pro set, they will include you with an opening tools and some tweezers. But because they're really premium, they're high quality and expensive, but they're really good to have around. I purchased myself with a basic set. And for the opening tool, I'll be using a guitar pick. Metallic guitar picks are really suitable to opening cases and covers. 0.3 millimeters metallic pick. You're gonna need about some plastic pick. You can grab a wooden one or plastic spatula. You need a curved tweezers. Curved tweezers are good to have around. So curved tweezers. Old or new used toothbrush to clean the fan system and the heatsink. Very importantly, you need a workshop towel. I recommend you guys highly to use the workshop towel. Most people are like, oh no, can I use a microfiber towel? No, I do not recommend you guys to use a fiber towels, because if I put an alcohol on this one and I rub it over the capacitors, it's gonna rip apart before the capacitor gets damaged. But a fiber cloth, it can rip the capacitors and damage the board. So use these ones. One sheet of that, and the most important one, again, one of them is an alcohol, 99% isopropylic alcohol, isopropylic. And you need a good thermal paste. I'll recommend you guys to use a Thermal Grizzly Fire Nut and Thermal Grizzly thermal paste Extreme Edition. These are really, really suitable. These are one of the top of the line thermal paste. I'll leave the link in the video description so you can purchase yours. And with all this on hand, we're gonna get it started. So you have your screwdriver, your opening tools, alcohol, wipes, and thermal paste. So first thing first, power off the laptop. Make sure it's turned off completely. You want to flip it upside down. But before we go upside down, let's go ahead and remove the two screws. If it's gonna focus, right over here maybe. If I put my hand there, we're gonna remove these two screws at the back, and we're gonna be using a Phillips #1. So use a Phillips #1 and remove these two. No, actually, these are Phillips 00, the tiny ones. So Phillips 00, remove these two with a Phillips 00. And keep them in one pile. Now, we're gonna put a face down. We're gonna switch to a Phillips #1. And we're gonna see a whole bunch of screws down here. We're gonna remove all the screws except these two screws on the corners. So let me put this one here so I can focus on that. So you're gonna leave these two because these two will not come out because they have a little C-lock on them on the other side. They will prevent them from coming out. So remove these 4 screws, 2 on each side, and remove the 2 on the bottom front in the middle. All the screws are the same size and height, so don't worry about mismatching them. Keep them in one pile. Also, if you guys like my videos, if you find my videos helpful and helping you guys out, you can support the channel by clicking the like and subscribe. I'll greatly appreciate it. It helps and motivates me to make more videos, take requests, and answer your questions in the comment area. I appreciate that. Alright, now that we did remove all the screws except the corners, and the reason for the corner screw that they have a C-lock is because as soon as you start rotating this one, you're gonna see a gap opening between the palm rest and the cover. Right, and you're gonna keep rotating until you hear a click sound. Once you hear a few click sounds, you want to stop it right there, and you want to do the same thing on the other side. And this is the advantage of having a C-lock. It helps you to remove the covers easier. So now all you're gonna do, you're gonna put it down, grab the corners, put your thumb on the palm rest. If it's not coming up, because you need to rotate a little more. And once you released it, there we go. Now there's a little clip in the middle. You want to grab from the side and pull it up harder and pull it towards yourself. That clip is right in here. Is a kind of alligator clip right there. I don't know. And that thing grabs it from this middle pin right in here. It's like a bumper. It just holds it from there. So you want to pull it out. You can take it outside with a toothbrush. You can clean up the mesh right in here and blow some air through here and clean it up. See, already dusting up here. So I'm gonna do this after the video. Once I finish, I'm gonna redo this. So down here we can see the fan and the heatsink, but first thing first, we're gonna disconnect the battery. To disconnect the battery, you wanna put 2 fingers on the side of the jack, and you wanna pull it evenly back. Once you pull it back evenly, and now you can work on the motherboard. We need to remove the back bumper. I call this a bumper. And we need to remove 3 screws, 1 right in here, 1 in the middle, and 1 right there. Remove 3 screws for the bumper. Okay, once we removed it, now you can pull back the bumper, just slide it back, and it will come out like this. You can again take it outside and clean it up if you want. Now we're gonna remove this plastic cover right over here. There's a 1 screw on it right there, and 1 in the middle, and 1 right over here. There are 4 of them, and 1 right here by the CPU or GPU. Once you remove 4 screws for this one, grab it and pull it up. There's nothing for it. You can go clean it up if it's dusty with a toothbrush. Now we have access for the all the screws and everything right here. To remove the heatsink, first we're gonna loosen up 2 screws for the fan here and 3 screws for this fan right over there. So remove the screws right here, right there. This fan can come out. You can clean it up without removing the heatsink. Just clean it up with a toothbrush if you don't want to repaste. To remove the fan connector, don't pull on the cable at all. You can damage the cable. Just put your fingernails or tweezers on the side of the jack and pull it backward. That way you don't cause any stress on the cables. Okay. So 2 screws for that one and 3 screws on this side. And this fan comes up like that. And you can just remove it. Okay, we need to remove the whole heatsink. We need to remove 4 screws on the CPU and 4 screws on the GPU. Go ahead and remove them. The screws have a C-lock on them, so you just pretty much have to twist until you hear a click sound. Alright, once we remove those, just grab it from the middle. Don't grab it from the corners. You want to bend the tubings in the middle and bring it up evenly. Ooh, and right away I can see the thermal pads are actually gone. There's nothing left on the thermal pad. And I think it's blown out. I don't know what happened. There's no thermal pads in here. It's eventually gone. Okay, so we're gonna clean it up and we're gonna replace them. And we're gonna place a new thermal pads. The thermal pads doesn't have to be the best quality, they don't need to. And the RAMs are 1.5 millimeters on the VRAMs. And let me see. Yeah, this is like a 1 millimeter right here. This is 0.5 millimeters right in here. And 0.5 millimeters. These are 1 millimeters. This one's absolutely 1 millimeter and point on the MOSFETs, they use a 0.5 millimeters. So let's go ahead and clean it up. Let's put it to one side. And we're gonna clean up the heatsink and the GPU. You can use a toothbrush, just clean up anything on top, any dust on it. Toothbrush is safe, there's no problem. I've been doing this for 17 years. I never had an issue with a static discharge or anything like that at all. So people comment, oh, you need to ground yourself. Absolutely not. You don't need to. As long as you don't rub your, even if you do an electric discharge, this laptop is grounded to its case. You cannot damage them. So don't worry about that. Don't be paranoid. So clean up the CPU, do a few passes, clean up the GPU. The GPU may have some shielding around it, stuff like that. It could be stuff like this, something like that. They put around them. You can remove these ones. So because the heatsink is not gonna touch the capacitors around them at all, it's not gonna reach. As long as you clean the die, the crystal die on the CPU and the GPU, you're more than fine. You don't need to do anything else. Okay. Clean up the fan system. The fans are pretty clean. If yours is not clean, take it outside with a toothbrush. Just rotate with one finger, and with the other one, just go like that. Clean them up. Okay, the heatsink is the same way. Take it outside. If there's a dust buildup in here, clean them up again. So let's put one sheet of the workshop towel on top here, so we can work nicely on the heatsink. There we go. So first, let's go ahead and clean up the thermal paste so we can. Now that we cleaned it, we're gonna grab ourselves the thermal pads. I have a whole bunch of thermal pads in here. And we're gonna start removing them. So let's start with this one over here. Okay, you can grab a whole pack of this one. This is a 0.5 millimeter thermal pads. So this one goes perfectly right here. So for this VRAM, whatever this one touches, this one goes right in there. So to clean it up, use a spatula to lift it up. There we go. Ooh, there's a tiny grooves in there. Okay, and use a workshop towel. Again, you can brush over it. Wipe it clean. And you can grab this one and you can cut it to the size. And we are gonna cut it to here. You can use that scissors or you can use a cutter. For the height of it, I'm gonna use a scissor, much better. So let's get my scissor. I'm gonna cut about that much. I'm gonna cut it there, make a little insertion right there. Cut it right through here. There we go. And let's go ahead and cut it to size. There we go. Make sure you remove the plastic over them. Okay, and leave it. I'm not gonna remove the plastic on this side yet because I'm gonna be using alcohol. I'm gonna leave that one in there. For the VRAMs in this side, I can measure it right beside it. I can see that this one, it is the same size as this one, 0.5. That's the best because in the manual they don't tell you. So I'm guessing 0.5 millimeter. So remove these ones too. These are really dried up in here. I don't know if it's me or they didn't remove the plastic on them because there's a plastic. I'm removing a plastic. Look, they did not remove the plastic on from the factory. Holy crap! No wonder it was overheating. They did not remove the plastic from the heatsink, and the plastic is integrated right into the. There you go. I'm just ripping up part of plastic through here. Holy. So let me show you the same thing in here. Yep. Same thing over here. I removed the thermal pad, and there's a plastic right underneath. With so much heat went through, I can see it clearly. Right in there. So, good game for DELL production quality check. They have the best quality check, I guess. So let's see about this one. If they didn't remove on those, less they're gonna remove on this ones. They do get heat up a lot, up to 85 degree, 90 degree, and because they didn't, they left it. I don't know how can they do this, but and this is a factory one, so it's a factory. So I'm gonna remove all of them. I'm gonna replace them. That means I can't believe it. Maybe they even had it in here, but I had a hard time scrubbing it. Oh my god. They did forget it on every freaking pad. Why would they leave the plastic right on top? So there you go. Look at it. Just look at it. And there we go. So now I can actually put the thermal pad on top, and then make sure you remove this tiny film over the thermal pads, please. Otherwise, you're gonna be same thing as a fabrication. Like, remove these tapes always. Don't leave them on. All right, I'm gonna pause the video. I'm gonna go ahead and clean up all of them, and I'll let you know the size for each one of them, and I'll be back. All right, guys. Now I cleaned up and I put all the thermal pads in here. I'm gonna go over the thermal pads really quickly. On this part, let's say if you hold it like this is a 0.5 millimeters, 0.5 millimeter, 0.5 millimeters, 1 millimeter, and 1 millimeters, 0.5 millimeters, and 1 millimeter right there, 0.5 millimeters, 1 millimeters, and 1 millimeter that goes right in here. I'll put it right in there, but it's the same thing right here. All right, now that let's say that we have the thermal paste in there, the thermal pads, we're gonna grab the thermal paste. We're gonna use a Thermal Grizzly Extreme, and we are gonna place a nice amount on the GPU and on the CPU. On the CPU, make a nice even surface. All right, now that we clean it up, we repaste. We're gonna grab our tweezers, and we're gonna remove, in God's name, remove all this tape and the shield on the thermal pads, make sure you remove all of them. Don't be like a factory and leave them on. So remove all of them. Okay. Now that we removed all of them, just do this one, make sure they don't fall off. And then you want to bring it straight quickly over the components. And once you put it down, you do not want to lift it up again. You want to quickly go ahead and tighten up the screws so it will pull itself to the GPU and heat sink. Okay, now that we have it right on top, now you can look around and make sure all those thermal pads are touching and there is nothing left opened or anything like that. All the thermal pads are nicely sitting, nicely cushioned in there, nicely in place. Just push on them a little bit firmly so they make a nice contact. And there we have it. Now we're gonna grab the fan that you cleaned up supposedly, I hope. One of the fans, put it right on top. First, slide the connector for the fan in there. And pinch it, same thing in here. I can just remove the fan before I put it in. It's easier to plug in the fan, the connector first before you put in the fan down. And now let's go ahead and put the screws for the fan. 2 screws on this side and 3 on the other side. And we do need to put this shield back on top. And put the 3 screws on the left fan. Once you're done with this one, we are gonna grab the back cover. And you want to slide it, grab it. Make sure there's some Wi-Fi connectors on the other side. These Wi-Fi connectors are sitting down evenly. So, look, there's some dirt in there. So let me grab a toothbrush and clean it up. So these Wi-Fi's on the side, they have to be all the way in. Grab the shield. Bring it over. And you want to slide it right in there. But make sure you open up this hinge. This hinge has to go over. It clicks in. 2 click, and we're going to put the 2 screws with a 00. We're going to put these 2 00 at the end. So let's put it down and put the 3 screws for the bracket on the back. Okay, we are almost done. We're going to plug in the main battery. So slide it in evenly. I always exaggerate saying it, but always evenly push in. Don't go sideways. Double check, make sure everything is in place. Grab the bottom cover, put it down in a 45-degree angle all the way inside the jack, inside the back cover right there. Push it down on the side, push down the sides, and tighten up the corner screws first so you can pull the cover to itself. So once you tighten that one up, tighten up this left side, and make sure you pinch it down, and put the rest of the screws on the bottom, and put the 2 tiny screws at the back side right there. Again, I hope you guys liked this video and helped you guys out. If it did, you know what to do. Click that like and subscribe to support the channel. If you have any question or requests, feel free to leave them in a video comment. I'll try to answer them as soon as I can. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Just gonna finish up putting up these screws. And remember, the screw on the back side is a 00 Phillips. And that should cover up this video.